There's nothing like working with Sharon.
Amen.
So we've known each other for quite some time, and she and another friend of ours by the name of Nellie Simpson, who's no longer with us, really were a blessing to me in my journey through ministerial school. I had no idea when I agreed to do this morning that I was going to get involved in the emotionalism of the holiday, because brief story, when I graduated from high school, I had no sense of direction. And there was a college in my hometown, small Baptist college, that offered me an opportunity to attend college. And so I took them up on that, and I was sitting in class, maybe the second month of the semester, and was called upon to pray in class. I'd done a lot of praying in my life because I had to, but it was always in the comfort and solace of my own being or in my bedroom. And never even thought about the concept of praying publicly. And I don't know what I uttered or muttered, but I managed to get through it. And then I got home later that day and I became angry because it was sprang upon me, and I just quit college. So that was one of a long line of mistakes and missteps that I've managed to make in my life, and to have to deal with them and to overcome them. And so when Sharon called with the topic for this series that she's doing, Flourishing, I quickly decided upon the idea of flourishing by mastering your strengths. And what mastering your strengths means for me is transitioning from simply knowing what you naturally excel at to intentionally refining those talents and those skills, and then applying them strategically, and then aligning them with your personal goals. And I'm aware that most of the time we humans kind of pour all of our energy into trying to fix what we think are our weaknesses. And the process of mastering your strengths generally involves what I believe are three core phases, one of which is being aware that you have strengths and being able to identify them. And we have to spend some time in prayer and meditation to be able to truly identify the strengths that we have. We've all got natural talents and natural skills. We've all got kind of patterns that we set in our lives to enable us to function fully. But it actually requires a little more in-depth thought. It means figuring out what tasks that actually energize you. And so that was the process that eventually led me into ministry. But it took 19 other jobs and about 20-some years to figure that out. This, I think, is my 42nd year of ministry. Thank you. I'm not sure that deserves any applause. It's a tough job. But I've been able to enjoy doing it. Nothing feeds my soul like studying, actually. The ministry aspect of this profession kind of comes naturally because I'm a people person, but I love to study. And of course, unity is, in my mind, one of the best places for that study to take place because there's not a lot of parameters around it to keep you from expanding your consciousness and studying and going as deep as you think you can go. So in my ministry, as I went out and started to spread my word, so to speak, I'd run into different kinds of challenges, and the only way I knew to really be able to utilize my talents was to just be myself. And that's a tough job. Not just tough for me, it's tough for all of us. One of the hardest things I think we encounter in life is really and truly being able to be ourselves, to be comfortable in our own skin. And over the years, I've dealt with people from every line of profession, people from every walk of life, and at one level or another, they've all encountered that process of, can I truly be myself? And the answer is always yes. But that yes also comes with some cost, because we have to be in alignment not just with who we are, but we have to be in alignment with the community around us to a degree. So alignment is where you deliberately spend most of your time actually operating within your strengths. You use those strengths to do everything from achieving your goals to solving your life problems, and even to counterbalance your perceived weaknesses. Ultimately, I believe this approach increases our confidence, and I also think that it strengthens our faith. Not just our faith in ourselves, but in our goals. And I think most importantly, it increases your faith in the divine spirit, whether you see that within yourself or whether you see that beyond yourself. And when we strengthen that aspect of our being, it enables us to resist, and I'm going to use the old preacher term here, resist temptation. Resisting temptation can be a loaded term in and of itself, especially as temptation has been used in our religious context or in our moral context or any of the other context that is not a part of our personal spiritual quest. So a more succinct definition is found in Unity's revealing word for me, and it states, and I quote, "Strength is the energy of God. It is freedom from weakness. It is stability of character. It is power to withstand temptation. It is capacity to accomplish. Strength is physical, it is mental, and it is spiritual. And all strength originates in spirit, the thought and the word spiritually expressed, being the manifestation. Charles Fillmore. Love Charles Fillmore. Deep man. Flourishing. Mastering your strengths. Fillmore said, the strength is a spiritual faculty rather than physical power. He said it originates in spirit, so that it is the energy of God expressing through the mind and body. He said further that true strength goes beyond muscles to the degree that strength's essence, if you will, is also freedom from weakness. Now that covers some broad territory in my mind, because it speaks to the stability of a person's character. It speaks to the ability to know who you are. So to put all that simple, the sum total of who we are as human beings is always enough to deal with life's challenges. It's always enough to deal with the frustrations that we encounter daily. It's always enough to deal with the opportunities that are presented to us. It's always enough to deal with the possibilities that spring into our minds. But we have to have faith. We have to have faith in it. And we have to be willing to develop some willingness and some patience enough to kind of undergo the process of the sum total of this mystical idea that's been presented to us in two simple words. Know thyself. Know who you are. Know thyself. Not Jimmie Scott, the country preacher, not Jimmie Scott, the rebel. Know thyself. Know who you are at your core. Know what you're willing to undergo. Know what you're willing to fight for. Know what you're willing to defend. Know who you are. Know what you're willing to attempt. Also know that you've been given an amazing gift, the gift of life, the gift of talent. You will be rewarded accordingly. So I want to repeat Charles Fillmore's statement one more time. All strength originates in spirit. Spirit is who you are. It is what you are. The thought and the word spiritually expressed actually is talking about the manifestation of whatever it is that we want to manifest in our lives. Or simply put, what is the end result that we are desiring to take place in our lives? Because the end result will come when we put forth the effort and the energy and the trust and the diligence to bring it forth. And sometimes we may have to do that over and over and over again. Sometimes we may have to double our efforts. There's a great quote by Sir Isaac Newton, who said, what we know is a drop. What we do not know is the ocean. And everything that I've encountered in my life is embodied in that quote. I go into it thinking I know, or that I need to know because I like to know. You offer me an opportunity, I want to really know what that opportunity means. But when you think about that, that's kind of absurd. Because the only way the opportunity can unfold legitimately is for you to dive in and to take all the twists and the turns and the curves to get you to where you want to go. Isaac Newton was the man behind the laws of motion and universality. So he wasn't speaking as a conqueror of knowledge, but he was speaking as a witness to the vastness of knowledge. So that brings me to the reality that nothing we do in life is based on certainty. When Newton was around, there were certain ideas about the universe until he introduced the laws of physics and suggested that the heavens were hanging and the planets were hanging in the universe. And so it began to reshape how we see the world today. Everything we do is because we trusted or we believed. He believed. He put forth an effort consciously, and somehow things started to fall in place. And so here we are today. Flourishing. Think about the iteration of who you are today and all the trials and challenges that you've undergone to get to right here in this space that we're all in here together today. It's an amazing journey. And the truth is, the journey never stops. That's why all the parables and stories in the Bible talk about a tiny grain of faith, the size of a mustard seed, that it has to germinate. And I chose that quote by Isaac Newton, what we know is a drop, what we do not know is an ocean, because, again, I like to know. My greatest challenges, again, have come when I didn't know. Not knowing is frightening to me, and it's scary to me. But the truth is, if I'd have known how much work I would have had to do, I probably would have never done it. Not knowing got me started. And I began to focus beyond my tiny self, which in turn enabled me to be more objective about my true self and ultimately to do what was mine to do. And I think back over my life, for the past 84 years, I've been doing that my whole life. And I'm still doing what I see is mine to do. And sometimes I get started and I think, I don't know if I really want to do this. And then I back off. And then again, I feel that prod. Get up and go, son. And then I get up and I do again what is mine to do. So again, we are much more than what we deem ourselves to be. Once you surrender, oh Lord. Once you surrender, the work truly begins. Jesus had an amazing statement in the Gospel of Matthew. It's found in 12th chapter in the 29th verse. He asked the question, how can anyone enter into a strong man's house, a strong woman's house, and carry off his or her possessions, unless he first ties up the strong man or the strong woman? And the metaphysical strong man or strong woman has to be prepared to protect oneself, to embody their wholeness, So that's an amazing parable to get lost in, because it's talking about what's in us. What will we fight for? What will we strive for? And we as a nation are in a time of struggle again. In my lifetime, I've seen quite a few iterations of the kinds of struggles that we are dealing with today. And the strong man and the strong woman are going to have to make a stand about what we truly believe. And how we make that stand is always up to us. But it will offer us some insight into how our awareness, how our determination, and how our empowerment can transform all of our lives when we start to work seriously about creating and maintaining the kind of society that we say we want in this great nation. And also when we realize that real change begins when people recognize their own potential and then raise their voices and begin to act with confidence and with poise and with purpose. That's what happens when we realize the power of God in us. There's a Chinese parable that says, when sleeping women wake, things happen. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. What it's actually saying is that action speaks louder than words. And the first part of the parable, sleeping women, symbolizes the hidden potential that people have. It symbolizes the overlooked strength of the voices that have remained silent due to social expectations or lack of opportunity. And it's a powerful parable because it challenges the assumption that quietness or invisibility means weakness. Instead, it suggests that strength and great strength can exist even when it is not immediately visible. And I suggest to you, dear friends, that great strength is within us, it is in this nation, and that we are preparing ourselves for a new world order. The second part of the parable or the proverb is mountain moving. It symbolizes or emphasizes, I should say, the extraordinary impact that awareness and confidence and determination can create once that hidden strength is made visible. And it also symbolizes that much of the obstacles and long-standing limitations of powerful systems that have seemed impossible to change can be changed. And the proverb suggests that when people recognize their own value and act on that value with purpose, that these great barriers will begin to fall by the wayside. I think back to when I began this journey, and I thought I was pretty powerless. And one of my first and most painful experiences was to be hired by a church to do a job, and then have the president of the board come in one day and suggest that the minister who had hired me didn't know what she was doing, and that I wasn't capable of doing the job. And I thought about that. I said, well, we have a contract, and it's for 2 years. You can pay me for it now, and I'll happily get out of your way, or I'll be here to work Monday morning. They decided to keep me on. 3 weeks later, the church split. The president took a number of people to another position. We just purchased a piece of property. We went to that property. We began the process of creating a new ministry. And it was a lot of work, a lot of fear, a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety. But we continued on. We had 19 people when we started. 2 months later, we were at 160. A year later, we were probably 180 to 200. Meeting in school, sanctuary. We did that for a little over a year. And I'll never forget it. The board president's boss flew his helicopter to Nashville one Sunday morning and landed in the schoolyard where we were meeting. The meeting place was in the midst of Green Hills in Nashville, largely populated area. So the generation of excitement and energy about what's a helicopter doing in the middle of Green Hills. He landed in the schoolyard. From that Sunday, we went from about 70 or 80 people to maybe 220 or 30 people. And we continued that pattern for a little over a year. And then we began the process of building a new church. And that church cost somewhere around $1 million. The board president's boss guaranteed the loan for us to build the church. Fast forward 9 years, I get a call one Tuesday morning from the board president's wife telling me that he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer and he wanted to speak to me. And I said, sure. So I agreed to go to his house to visit with him. And I sat down, and the first words out of his mouth were, Jimmie Scott, I was wrong. And he said, I apologize. And I said, no apology needed. He said, I've got a request. He said, I'm dying of cancer, and I want you to do my funeral. And I said, of course. I did his funeral, and he passed away. And I've often thought, this God thing, I have no idea what's going on. My only job is to get up and do what is mine to do and to keep flourishing. I wish there were some kind of logical explanations I could give you here today, or some kind of formula I could give you here today to express what I'm trying to say. But the only words that come to my mind is God knows. So let me wind this up as I can and say to you that for me, flourishing means living my best life, not just surviving or avoiding problems, but actively living my best life. It also means growing. It means feeling good and doing good. And I feel good every day. I still got a little pep in my step. I've got good mental and physical vitality, though I occasionally hurt and ache. And I also often call into question my mental stability almost 30 times a day. But I still have a clear sense of purpose. And I've done some nurturing and supportive and creative things in my life and want to continue to do those. And most importantly, I want to continue to nourish all the good connections that I've been able to make with my colleagues and my friends and with you for inviting me here to share in this journey today. And then I want to keep learning every day. I read incessantly every day, not just English stuff, but I read from everywhere in the world. And everything I've read suggests a certain universalism in the way we operate as human beings. And I think it's important to remember that because I think we get comfortable in being okay with the status quo. And the status quo is never okay. So, flourishing. Thank you.